Now everybody, let me tell you a story about Hollywood shame, where terrible actors and scripts collide. Oh, what a mess it is on the other side. Saw the lights, camera, action begin, but all I got was a movie that plunged in a spin. From the first scene to the credits that roll, a Hollywood disaster, you've taken its toll. Silver screen cesspool, bad movies galore. Can't help but wonder what the hell were they making these for? Throw in some cliches, a sharp and predictable plot. It's a train wreck, I tell you, it's all they ever got.
And now for our feature presentation.
Welcome to the Silver Screen Cesspool, where we review the pool. And now your host, the surveyor of cinema, the mocker of moronic movies, the terror of tiny town, the last known survivor of battlefield Earth, the one of many, Alan Smith-E.
Tonight's box office bomb is the B-movie from 1973, Invasion of the B-Girls. This movie doesn't star Brian Bostwick, but a bevy of buxom beauties bound to bring buco box office bucks. In the beginning, a bruised blue body is... You know what? I need to stop this alliteration BS before my brain blows up and slap the bozo who wrote this bull.
Silver Screen Cesspool is written, directed, and starring Alan Smith-E.
Okay, so I did it to myself. Anyway. So dead bodies are turning up. They've been murdered, and someone is responsible. The local sheriff isn't looking into them too seriously, though, yet, as he's spending most of his time looking for a better antiperspirant. Why are pit stains always an awful thing in bad movies? So a State Department investigator begins to look into it. Before he gets too far, he finds out the latest victim was banging his secretary, who is going to be his love interest for the next hour and a half. Then we cut to a pastoral, grassy countryside with rolling hills when a naked dude pops up from behind the hill. Before I could even ask, what the fuck? A very naked woman on a dirty dirt bike rolls on up. They embrace and roll around the grass long enough to create a crop circle and begin to bang, boom, and buzz, and then he's dead. Then another dead body shows up, and another, and another. Eventually, 8 bodies over 3 days. So they have to call a press conference to announce that all these men have died of sexual exhaustion. I believe the technical term for this is Death By Snu Snu. Also, based on the sex scenes later in this movie, men reach complete sexual exhaustion after 3 minutes tops. That one kind of stings. As a warning to the straight men out there, if your woman makes a buzzing sound when she's aroused, she's gonna kill you B-girl style. Or she has a vibrator. One of the two. Then another guy is seen running away by the State Department guy, and instead of death by Snu Snu, he gets run over by a car in the most comical run over by a car death I've ever seen. That sounded a lot better in my head. I mean, it's so clearly a dummy, and that dummy gets folded up under the car in a very comical, non-realistic fashion. But kudos to the guy in charge of continuity. Despite the comical position the dummy ends up in, they force the actor to be in the same comical position when they go in for the close-up. Another dude dies, and Mr. State Department calls his bosses to have the town put under military quarantine, which neither adds nor subtracts to the advancement of the plot. This is never even indirectly addressed in the movie, but any guy you see wearing yellow dies next for some reason. And they're being killed by the B-girls, who, also never addressed in the movie, can be easily identified by their 24/7 wearing of oversized round sunglasses that I guess are supposed to be in the shape of bee eyes? Apparently the B-girls... Actually, let me digress for a moment. Most of this movie's essential plot points aren't in the film. They're vaguely visually implied, which is more than a little confusing. But as I was saying, apparently the B-girls are killing men so that they can convert the grieving widows of the deceased into more B-girls. The process involves other B-girls stripping them naked, pointing some sort of gigantic air cannon device at their crotch, while hanging a sciencey looking colander over their head, and then covering every inch of them with something that looks like a cross between Elmer's school glue and marshmallow fluff. Then covering that with bees, and then pulling out their own breasts and massaging them in the least erotic way possible. That last point was far from a complaint, but given how much and how often the ladies whip them out in this movie, let's just say most porn has better excuses for senseless nudity than this movie. Eventually, with the help of his love interest and Sheriff Sweaty, the State Department guy figures out that the bees have been crossbred with humans. Calling a girl honey actually works as a seduction technique for bees. Apparently. The crossbreeding process has left them sterile, however, so the bee girls are stuck in a perpetual mating cycle. Such an obvious and logical explanation that I don't know how they missed it right away. The bee girls screw up by kidnapping the love interest, and the State Department dude comes and saves her naked ass. He fires his cap gun at an electrical panel, which explodes, sending a shower of sparks from the science colander. This kills all the B-girls because they were sort of in the vicinity of the sparks, and they weren't able to pull their breasts out quickly enough to counteract the effects of the sparks. But they sure tried to. I kind of hope my dying thought is to whip out my nipple, because that would be f***ing hilarious. Credits roll, and we're treated to B-roll footage of bees pollinating flowers set to, no joke, Ric Flair's entrance music. Woo! I bet you thought my pro wrestling reference in this movie review would be to jump in Jim Brunzell and B. Brian Blair, the tag team known as the Killer Bees. But that would have been too obvious. Invasion of the B-Girls is available streaming on... wait, I get it now. They keep exposing their breasts because they're bees. Invasion of the B-Girls is available streaming on Amazon Prime.
Silver Screen Cesspool is written, directed, and starring Alan Smithy. Assistant director, producer, and stunt coordinator, Alan Smithy. Boom mic operator, sound editing, and music by Alan Smithy. Construction coordinator, The Amazing Rando. Makeup by Crayola. Catering was provided by the Soylent Corporation. Alan Smithy will be back in Return of the Curse of the Planet of the Prehistoric Bikini Ninjas versus Kingdom of the Bride of the Killer, Shark Cheerleaders 2, Electric Boogaloo.